We have to talk about Grok and the race for AGI because a lot of things are happening. And over all this talk about mythos, fable, the US government stopping Anthropic and now stopping OpenAI from releasing ChatGPT 5.6, people have forgotten a little bit something huge that's going on in the background. Not so much in the background, but seemingly out of focus for most people who follow that race. As you probably know, people are discussing Anthropic as the clear leader in the AI and AGI space, with dramatic revenue increases over the last months, quarters, and the last year. The world's most dramatic rise in revenue the world has ever seen. And, of course, I used to be a big Anthropic fan. I used ChatGPT a lot. And I was not a big Grok fan, even though I have great appreciation for SpaceX AI, for Elon and his team. But I'm also a critical user. So I thought, what the hell? I don't like Grok. It's not smart enough. Claude has outperformed it very dramatically. At least that was my perspective until very recently. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, I started using Grok more and more and got very unhappy at the same time with Claude. And that was right around the release of Fable, by the way, or Mythos. Like when Mythos came up, I think that was when I saw a lot of deterioration with Claude. I'm not using it for programming. I'm using it for writing, for thinking, for all these things. And now recently, we have seen a lot of interesting things. Okay, so currently we are on Grok 4.3, and we have to talk about this because the fate of humanity is a function now of the pioneers, of course, but also of the state of AGI. Understanding what these models do right now, understanding who's at the front, and understanding who's falling behind will be very, very, very decisive. Even if we don't talk about stocks, we will talk about stocks, but even without the stocks. So Grok 4.3 is the current model that we are seeing. And very important news, Elon just tweeted that Grok 4.5, the next big leap, is now out. And it's not out for users, but it's out with the new Cursor data as a private beta for SpaceX and Tesla. So it's being rolled out internally for use and testing. Now, as you probably know, SpaceX acquired Cursor, as I predicted, of course. It was pretty obvious that this is going to happen. It just happened for $60 billion. And Cursor, the world's greatest harness, the world's greatest, if you are not familiar with the harness, the world's greatest framework to embed the actual frontier models, to make them usable for people. Cursor has the highest adoption across all enterprise in the United States, more than Anthropic. And Cursor has a tremendous team where Cursor basically was able to make AI useful for enterprise customers, but never had the power to build their own model and never had the compute to actually do it. So Cursor, now part of the Elon empire. Here's the Cursor homepage, just in case you want to see that. They have massive enterprise adoption because they were one of the first, trusted by the world's leading enterprises. They are all over it. Everyone uses this thing. It's for coders, of course. You can basically build anything you want. And they're using other people's frontier models in there. Now, of course, switching to Grok. And what Cursor brings to Grok is a tremendous amount of insights and data from tens of thousands of enterprise coders, forward deployed engineers, formerly known as consultants, who actually model out business processes. And the value of this data is incredible. It is incredible for a very specific purpose. It is incredible for the purpose of giving Grok insight when it's training its next iteration. It gives it insight into what people actually do in all these companies on a massive scale. It can see all the little things that is happening in all these companies. It sees all the processes, all the products, all the code that is being developed in British Airways, in Hilton, in Stripe, in Adobe, in Datadog, in NVDA, OpenAI of all things. So you see what's going on there. And that data will be so important to develop true enterprise AGI. What is true enterprise AGI? It means digital optimists. It means the digital human. It means the digital white-collar worker. That is where all the money is hidden. That is what SpaceX in its IPO deck actually called a $22 trillion total addressable market, enterprise AI. It means that the AI learns what humans actually do in enterprise. And Cursor is the world's most advanced and biggest data set on what is actually happening in enterprise related to AI. because all these people use Cursor. So now it's part of Grok. And another important thing about Grok, when we look at Elon's tweet here, is that Grok actually has also a huge advantage with Colossus. Colossus is the training cluster owned by SpaceX AI that allows them to train their models much faster, much deeper, much better than anyone else because they have the most compute. All in all, that means I am convinced for a few months now, when I understood the Cursor deal, that Elon and SpaceX AI are now on track of overtaking Anthropic, the world's biggest AI company, in terms of capability, but also in terms of customer leads and accounts, which they already did because Cursor has more accounts. It has a broader footprint than Anthropic. And it will soon also be able, once it has capability and account advantage, to overtake Anthropic in revenue. Now, is this going to happen or not? I think it's much more likely to happen than not. And Elon is elaborating a little bit on the details here. It says Grok 4.5 based on our 1.5 trillion version 9 foundation model with Cursor data added and supplemental training. It's now in private beta. RL is continuing to significantly improve the model, and the Grok build harness gets better every day. Ha! Who told you about the harness? Hey, on this channel, we do something very important. We deeply analyze, understand, and predict capital, AGI, and politics. Not just to beat the markets and make a lot of money, even though that's important, but also to build a new society and make the future good for all of us, the pioneers. If you want to help me on this journey, you can do that by doing a very simple thing. Like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. The Grok build harness. Grok build is basically the equivalent of Cursor. Grok build is the harness for coding, which is the key, right? Grok build is the competitor to Claude Fable, to Codex, and so on and so forth. And it's getting better every day. If there's one strength in the Elon universe, it is rapid iteration, especially now that they have this compute advantage. Nice work by all those involved. Completely trained from scratch. New models will be released to SpaceX every month this year. Do you see that? And that is what I also noted with Grok. The iteration speed, without any announcements, by the way, you just feel it's getting better all the time, is very high. So my tip for you guys is test out Grok. I was a skeptic. I was not happy with Grok. It was clearly behind. But I feel Grok is now really gearing up to take the pole position, probably sooner than later. I think within 2026, we will see some major movement, and it might start with Grok 4.5. I'm incredibly excited because at Draupnir, at Pioneerlands and the Pioneer Academy, we have built Draupnir, an agentic system for you guys who are the users that you can use. And we are now building out these verticals. First of course, capital, where we can build our own portfolio models, our budget planning models. You can basically do all your personal finance there starting hopefully next Sunday. And we are using these models on the back end. So we empower you to basically code any finance app you want in a very, tight environment. That's actually very cool for your own use mostly. And looking at these models and understanding who has the lead is very important. Of course, there's some other insights here. That Claude increasingly frustrates people. I posted some stuff, but also other users. They say here, Claude has become almost unusable as of late. As you know anything about what you're asking it for, it becomes super clear. It's just been sycophantic and giving you the laziest replies possible, even on Opus 4.8. I agree, it's very lame, this stuff. For coding, it's still great. But for general use here, wow, Claude is so bad at writing blog posts. That is also what I posted. So yes, it's horrible. Claude is horrible in most things at this point. I posted this here not too long ago, a few days ago. I find myself working with Grok much more these days. It's very good versus ChatGPT and Claude. ChatGPT remains heavily woke. That's a big problem. Like it literally every time I asked it something like, by the way, Joe, you can say that's like, what did I say now? I don't like. It's like this obnoxious low IQ Karen aunt that's just not even listening to what I want. It's constantly trying to lecture me. So ChatGPT, woke horror show. Other than that, not too dumb. And Claude is fine with logic, but very bad with English language. It's a disaster. If I have it write something, I can't even read. It hurts my brain to read this stuff. So I hate it. And especially with Grok and Claude, I notice constant capability changes day to day or week to week, independent of model versions. It seems like their harnesses or LLMs are being improved in real time. With Claude, it's much more deterioration than improvement. And number 5, English writing remains a huge problem across all of them. Grok is the best. My suspicion is that the advanced skills like coding, design, writing need massive specialized harnesses. Claude design still absolutely mind-bogglingly good. Writing a disaster. And there is no harness yet for writing. But Grok does the best job, by the way. 6, AGI. In a way, we are already here. We have now the intelligence core units available. With that, I mean the LLMs that are pretty good as core intelligence units that need a harness around it to actually make them work. And now we can build specialized AI workers with a lot of effort through harnesses. Which in a way, people always say, oh, Joe, you don't understand AGI. No, you don't understand AGI. AGI means you have the core components flying around that allows us to quickly build any kind of AGI AI we want. So I think we are crossing that Rubicon as we speak. I said it again and again. I think in 2027, it's game over. I think in 2025, the singularity has started. And right now we are right in the middle of that continuum where we can now basically do anything. In the next 6 months, we will be able to replace any job we want. Any job we want. By end of this year, it's game over. And by mid-end of next year, it will be officially game over. We at Pioneer Lands and the Pioneer Academy, we will be able to replace any job because we are building these things. But end of next year, everyone will have products all over the place by all kinds of people to do that. 7, it's vast open field for innovators. But building these harnesses, prompts, loops, agentic systems is a totally new discipline that requires a highly self-directed scientific and engineering mind and the willingness to systematically dabble through hundreds of disciplined experiments. But the prices are extremely large and there are hundreds of thousands. I should make it big. And there are hundreds of thousands of these prices. The grand prize, through AGI, might be achievable already or maybe not yet. Hard to tell. So the bottom line is, this is the time to become an AI entrepreneur. Join pioneerlands.org, the Pioneer Academy. We are working on this. The capital vertical is already ready to go. We will have a lot of fun there and training yourself to actually use it. Training yourself maybe on your own capital management, your own portfolio to get good in agentic coding with our tools is probably the best way to do it. So next Sunday is launch of this thing. But you should watch this thing unfold. It's big news. I hope that was interesting. See you tomorrow.